join me in welcoming Cedric Singleton, the founder and CEO of the Peak Performance Leadership Institute. Well, his journey spans the U.S. Army, a stellar 27-year career at Abbott Laboratories, and a leadership role at Career Global, where he helped double revenues to $1.2 billion in 3 years. And today, through his institute, he equips leaders and organizations to master mindset and leadership for breakthrough results. Ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause, please help me welcome Cedric Singleton. Everyone, come on, guys. Over to you. The floor is yours.
All right. So I know that it's been a full day today. We started off with Dr. Sean Fair. You had your panel discussions. You had lunch. And if I know anything, I know that at this time of the day, especially using the sports example, you need a 7th inning stretch. So if I can ask everyone to stand up for a second, stand up and just take a little stretch, because you got to prepare for this talk that I'm about to give you. So get your stretch on. Everyone's okay? Everyone's all right? So go ahead and have a seat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Also, if you can give all the award winners a huge round of applause. All right. So my dream car is the Lamborghini. I know many of you have nice cars, but how many of you have a dream car? That car that you think about from time to time? Yeah, several hands are up. So I have some really good news for you. For the next few minutes, I am going to be Oprah Winfrey. You all are going to be my studio audience, but I need 2 things from you. I need you to have an open imagination, and I need everyone's maximum participation. I need you to really, really get into that. Can you do that? I got to hear you. Can you do that? Okay, here we go. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. You are all now sitting in the driver's seat of your brand new dream car. So I want you to get excited, and I want you to go ahead and adjust your seats. Go ahead and adjust your seats. Very good, very good. Now I want you to adjust your mirrors in your brand new cars. Very nice, very nice. The next part's really important. You got to get the music just right. So go ahead and adjust your sound system. Get your settings just like you like it. Very good. And you got, there you go. She's really into it. And I want you to put them seatbelts on, and everybody put your cars in drive. Put your cars in drive so we're all set. Imagine, you guys are really into it. Imagine that you are now on the open road driving your brand new dream cars. Not a care in the world. Imagine that feeling of freedom and joy. The weather's nice. Your music is playing. I'm looking at the smiles on your faces. I almost hate to do what I'm about to do, but I have to do it. Everybody open your eyes, and unfortunately, you're going to have to park those Rolls Royces. You are going to have to drive your real cars back home. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. I appreciate you getting into this. But imagine if you really did have that Bentley. You really had that Ferrari or that Rolls Royce. Imagine that you really had that Lamborghini. Imagine that you really did have your dream car, but you never drove it. As unbelievable as that sounds, there was a recent survey that stated only 6% of us achieve our dreams. 80% of us have no plans to ever achieve our dreams. But at the same time, 60% are unhappy at work, so-called quiet quitting. And nearly 20% have reported as being miserable. The primary reason is that most of us have never clearly defined our dreams. we've never had a clear vision of what we really want to do in our lives. Today, I'm going to talk about the important role that mastering your mindset plays in achieving your dreams. And we're going to talk about how you can turn your vision into victory. A little bit about myself. I started my professional career in the United States Army, followed by 30 years in the corporate world, and now I am a strategic leadership coach. Throughout my professional journey, one thing has remained extremely clear. Mastering your mindset is the key to achieving your dreams and your goals. Whether I was in the military, in the corporate world, or as a leadership coach, all of the top performers, they've always had a strong mindset when it came to achieving their goals. What do I mean by strong mindset? Why is that so important? Well, I'm going to walk you through this step by step. And I'm going to do so by sharing with you my own personal journey. I call it From Soldier to Salesman. As I mentioned, I started my professional career in the military. I was a tank platoon leader, and I was stationed in Fort Carson in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I enjoyed my time in the military. I enjoyed leading my tank platoon. I was recently put on the promotion list to captain. I was newly married. There was my stepson, Walter, and my wife was pregnant, and she had a baby on the way. And as a tank platoon leader, one of the most important achievement that you can get is this thing called top tank platoon. And that is when your tank platoon competes with all of the other tank platoons in the unit for this prestigious Combat Readiness Award. And the award is presented in front of everybody by the squadron commander. And we won top tank platoon. So things were going really, really well. Top tank platoon, on the list to be promoted to captain, newly married, and a beautiful baby on the way. All right. I didn't expect a clap for that. My wife would be happy. But I was living what they call the American dream, right? In fact, I fully expected to spend 20 or maybe even 30 years in the military. I never thought that I would leave the military and, in fact, spend 30 years in the corporate world. But little did I know that a corporate recruiter that was offering, among all things, some free food would change my whole life. There was this corporate sales recruiter on the base, and he was promoting this free gourmet food. I think it was the word gourmet that got me. But he was promoting this gourmet food to have me go to the seminar, their recruiting seminar. So I went to the seminar, but I went primarily to get some of that food. But when I got there, the thing that caught my attention, there were these men wearing these really nice suits. And they all had these impressive-looking briefcases. Now, today, briefcases aren't that big of a deal. But if you join me back to the early 90s, you had yourself a nice suit and a nice briefcase. As we used to say back then, you kind of had it going on, right? But it wasn't only the briefcase. It wasn't only the suits. They had these big corporate titles like Vice President of U.S. Sales. And these were all large healthcare companies like your Johnson & Johnson, your Pfizer's, these multi-billion-dollar corporations. So at this point, I'm totally confused. Why are they here on a military base? And why are they trying to recruit combat arms officers? But here's the punchline. They were all former combat arms officers. They were just like me a few years earlier, and they were telling us that we had the transferable leadership skills to do exactly what they were doing because they did it. They were proof that I could be a successful corporate sales executive. And that blew my mind. My mindset had totally changed, and I saw a new destination. And that's the first thing I want to share with all of you. When you change your mindset, you can change your destination. For the first time in my life, I actually saw myself in the corporate world. Now, I did mention I was newly married. And my wife was what? My wife was pregnant. Very good. So Cedric, all of a sudden, saw this new destination. Cedric had to go home and talk to Dee Dee, Cedric's wife. So I go home, and I tell her, I said, I went to this corporate recruiting conference on base, and there were these corporate people there, and they were telling me, baby, get this. They told me that I have these really impressive, transferable leadership skills, and they need that in their company. I'm trying to get my wife to see this new destination. My wife did not see this new destination. She was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And she basically kept it moving. But for me, I couldn't get it out of my mind. I had the transferable skills to be a successful corporate sales executive. For the first time, I started interviewing with healthcare companies. And the more I went through that process, the more my mindset just totally shifted. I was all in. As far as I was concerned, I was corporate. There was a lot of work to do for sure, like I had to get a job. But it was just a matter of time in my mind before I reached my new destination. So let's fast forward a little bit. I get an offer from Abbott Laboratories. Abbott is the healthcare company that made the rapid COVID tests in the United States during the pandemic. And they offered me a sales executive position in Corpus Christi, Texas. So now it's time to go back. Yeah, exactly. And tell my wife, I have an offer. I want to accept this offer, and I want to leave the military. I did mention I was newly married. And my wife was what? Pregnant. My wife was pregnant. But not only that, Walter, my stepson, Walter was 12 years old at the time. And all of Walter's friends, in fact, all of our friends, our whole life was in the military. And here I come, I'm about to change the whole game. I'm about to leave the Army, go into sales, by the way, something I had never done. And on top of that, move the whole family from Colorado all the way down to South Texas, someplace we had never been. Yeah, just like you guys are looking, some people thought I'd lost my mind, right? But that's another important reason why having a strong mindset is necessary. It helps you stay on course towards your destination. So now it's time for the moment of truth. It's time for me to have what I now call the talk, this conversation with my wife. And here is how that conversation went. You guys ready? I said, baby, I have some great news. I'm trying to set the stage. Abbott Laboratories has offered me a sales executive position in Corpus Christi, Texas. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for our family, and I really want to accept this offer. I just need for you to be on board. That was my big pitch. What do you all think she said? That's right. It's like you guys were there with me, by the way. So let me tell you what she said. My wife looked at me and said, "Nah, I don't see it." But then she said, "Obviously, you believe that this is what's best for our family. And I believe in you." You know, in my coaching program, I help my clients establish what I call a dream team. A dream team consists of people who they may not understand your dream or your vision, but they believe in you enough to fully support you throughout your journey. That's important. My wife has been a member of my dream team for nearly 34 years. But there is a however. After she gave me all that support and she gave me all that confidence, she says something else. And I'm going to clean up what she said in front of this great crowd because there was a curse word in there. She then looked at me and said, "But this blank had better work." Which, I guess, all things considered, it was fair. I mean, I was moving the family, leaving the Army, trying to get a job. It was fair. But I didn't really feel a lot of pressure because in my mind, it was going to work. Right? I mean, I already saw myself leading my own sales team, and that's important. There's power in being able to see yourself do the thing before you actually do the thing. I already saw myself being successful, just like the men in the suits with the briefcases. In fact, I went and I bought my own briefcase. When your passion meets your purpose, you are well on your way to achieving your dreams. That was pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to say that one more time. When your passion meets your purpose, you are well on your way to achieving your dreams. So, having a strong mindset helps you determine your destination. But why is that so important? It's important because once you determine your destination, you can build a plan to get there. It's like when you're at one of these big shopping malls, and I think there's a few of them here. You're at one of these big shopping malls, you get a little hungry, and you want to go to the food court, right? And we've done this from time to time. You find that map, and that map tells you where you're located and where your new destination, in this case, the food court, is located. But now, you can build a plan to get from here to there. It's the exact same concept. I knew what my new destination was. It was to be a corporate sales executive, just like the men in the suits with the briefcase. Now, I could build a plan to get there. So let's talk about this plan. Your plan has to be well-defined. Because remember, according to the surveys, most of us have no plans. So here's what I did. When I was interviewing with those corporate executives that were former combat arms officers, I asked all of them this question. What were your keys to success? And among all the answers they gave, there were three common themes. Number one, just like Sean mentioned earlier, they all excelled in their company's training program, right? In many companies, especially large healthcare companies, they have extensive training resources and material, et cetera. And they took their training very serious. They put in the work. And that's very important. I mean, you could have a dream. You can have a vision. But you have to put in the work to bring that dream to life and to realize that vision. And they all put in the work. Number two, they all became a subject matter expert on at least one of their company's key products. And they became the go-to person for that product. They elevated their value, or I guess in today's term, they elevated their brand, right? They became an important asset to their company. And number three, and very important, they all produced top-performing sales teams. They brought home the results. That became my well-defined plan. And the final step is execution. So let's recap a little bit. The keys to achieving your dreams by mastering your mindset are as follows. Number one, clearly determine your destination. Next, build a well-defined plan to get there. And then finally, execute that plan. So let's talk about how I executed the plan. When I joined Abbott, I went through their sales training program. Abbott had a world-class program, and I was fully immersed in it. I took my sales training very serious, and as a result, I was one of the top graduates in my class. I was putting in the work to bring my dream to life. Next, when I landed in Corpus Christi, Texas, I was on a mission. I ran my sales territory like I ran my tank platoon. My account plans, my weekly activity reports, my customer visits, I was all in. And I became the subject matter expert for our hematology product line. And I was appointed team lead for that product. Wow. Unexpected applause is always good. Keep it coming. But I elevated my value and I became an asset to the company. And finally, as for performance, when I landed in Corpus Christi, Texas, Abbott Laboratories had a total of 126 sales territories in the United States. My sales territory was ranked number 118 out of 126. It was near the bottom. Within 18 months, it was ranked number 12. It was near the top. And to address my wife's statement that this blank had better work, my territory qualified for Abbott's prestigious President's Club, which included a free trip to Hawaii. So she was okay after that, right? So that was important. The final thing I'll say there is you have to put in the work, you have to get the solution, and you have to get the results. So after my successful year with Abbott, I had 30 more successful years, and during that time, I was able to lead sales teams just like the men in the suits with the briefcases. So now, let's summarize the key points from my own personal journey. Key point number one, mastering your mindset is about locking into your dreams in order to clearly determine your destination. This is critically important because there will be obstacles along this journey. Sometimes those obstacles might be people in your lives. In fact, I want you to ask yourself, don't say it out loud, but ask yourself, who might be the obstacles preventing me from achieving my dreams? A quick story. When I decided to leave the military and pursue a corporate sales career, there was this one particular master sergeant in my unit. He got a kick out of talking about how I was going to leave the Army and go sell shoes at the local mall. You cannot let things like that become a distraction. Because here's the reality. The keys to turning your vision into victory comes down to two things: mindset and resilience. The mindset locks you in, but you also need resilience. The ability to take care of those kicks that come your way, to take care of those setbacks that come your way, but to continue moving forward. When those two things work together, you are well on your way to achieving your dreams. Key point number 2, you have to build a well-defined plan. Because remember, most of us don't have a plan, but it's the plan that keeps you on track, right? A dream without a plan is wishful thinking. The plan is your GPS. It is your global positioning system. It will tell you where you are, where you're going, and it'll also tell you the turns you may need to make along your journey. Without a plan, any distraction will knock you off course. But with a plan, you will always have clarity and control. And finally, you need a framework to effectively execute that plan with what I call the 2 A's, action and accountability. Your plan has to have action items. And I highly suggest that you have people, your dream team, that will hold you accountable for completing those actions. In my coaching program, one of my biggest responsibilities is holding my clients accountable. Now, I've spent over 35 years of my professional life in the military, in the corporate world, and as a leadership coach. I can tell you firsthand that through my personal experience, the approach that I just walked you through absolutely separates top performers from everybody else. And so I want to leave you with a bit of motivation. I encourage all of you to follow your dreams. Whether you're in the corporate world, among entrepreneurs, or whatever we do with our lives, we all have dreams. And rather than being unhappy or even miserable, I encourage you to believe in yourself enough to bet on yourselves and live your dreams to the fullest. Because when you live your dreams to the fullest, you live life to the fullest. And when you live life to the fullest, you can get back in that dream car and drive it until the wheels fall off. My name is Cedric M. Singleton, and I approve this message. Thank you.